Welcome once again to TLC, Transforming Lives Continually. I'm Michael Stewart, and of course, we try to bring you programs that would exalt, edify, enhance your life, do some personal development, some introspection. Today's program, we have in studio Mr. Alan Salandi, a man who has come from very humble beginnings and continues to remain humble, but his circumstances would have changed. And so we're talking about the whole aspect of wealth and wealth development. He was on our program before, and so he gave his own life story. And we have him back today to now carry us to the next level. For those of you who want to move your life from poverty to riches to wealth, you got to listen up. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Good. So we're talking about how we develop our lives as individuals. First of all, give us your definition of the difference between riches and wealth. Most people want to be rich and so on, but you'll be hearing about wealth. What is that?
All right. The definition that I prefer where riches are concerned is this. Riches is being able to afford expensive things, but that is dependent on your labor,
right,
on your wages, you being able to earn the money to afford.
Right.
Wealth, on the other hand, is being able to afford your standard of living, and that is financed by your investments. In other words, it is your residual income or income, your residual income, which actually supports your standard of living. So you don't really have to work per se.
Right.
If you work, then becomes a choice rather than a necessity. So those are the two. That is how I like to define rich and wealthy. Now, wealthy is dependent on each person, because what might be wealthy for me might not be wealthy for you.
Right.
So it has to do with one's own personal choices.
And the ability to sustain that standard without having to work for it.
Exactly.
But the work really goes in early in the game.
It does. Most definitely, it goes in early in the game.
Yes. I think, I don't know if it was Robert Kiyosaki that said, when you are actually working, then that is you working for money. And when you have meet wealth, is money working for you.
Exactly. Now, the definition that I have, actually I got it from Robert Kiyosaki.
From Robert, okay.
Right? And that has helped me design, my life, where the focus was no longer on just earning money to sustain a standard of living, but my focus then became where I now was focused on actually generating assets that would give me residual income.
All right. So tell me what some of these assets or investments that would bring persons from riches to wealth, and in some cases we're talking about moving from poverty into riches and wealth. What are some of the investments that you can see in probably Trinidad and Tobago that worth investigating?
All right. Let's just do a broad one first. Authors, people who write books. I'll give you an example. This lady who wrote the Harry Potter books.
Yes.
She would have sat down maybe a year, 2 years, whatever, and she would have written those books. So it involved maybe 2-3 years of labor.
Okay.
Once those books became popular, bestsellers, she became a billionaire as a result of the sale of those books. Now she no longer have to work anymore.
Yes.
Because of that period she would have worked, whether it was a year, 2 years, she now has enough money that could sustain her standard of living for the rest of her life.
Yes.
That is just one example. You also have
John Maxwell wrote 74 books, most of them bestsellers, and they have all cost 1 million books sold. Calculate that.
Exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. All right. Now, in Tobago, we don't have that kind of market. although you could write a book and internationally
Put it on the internet.
International
right,
market, Amazon.com,
yes.
like you have done. Like you have done.
And I've written 6 books.
Right. And after a while now, the income, once you have a bestseller, the income keeps coming in. So that is one way.
Yes.
All right. However, locally, the way that I have found is through real estate.
Right.
All right, let me give you an example. I built a warehouse. It took me 6 months to build this warehouse. I hired a foreman. So during the construction, we both worked.
Right.
When the warehouse was finished, he had to go and look for another job, another warehouse, another house, another project to continue to earn money.
Yes.
My situation is very different to his. I have since rented out portions of that building.
Right.
And every month now, I collect a rent.
Right.
If I do nothing for the month productive,
Yes.
at the end of the month, I can go and expect a check for the rest of my life.
Right.
So this now is money working for me.
So he provided service for you, but you have a mindset that says what he has provided for you, you are going to make it become your residual income, and yet he has continued working.
Right. So he now has to continue working,
Yes.
so that he could enjoy the standard of living that he has.
Yes.
I now do not necessarily have to work using the formula that I have.
Yes.
I do not now have to work
Yes.
to enjoy the standard of living that I have.
But you do work.
Yes, most definitely. As I say, when that happens, work becomes a choice
That's right.
rather than a necessity.
Yeah.
So you could now, you are in more control of your life.
Yes.
And the way I look at it, life is time. So when you spend most of your time earning money,
Yes.
you sacrifice your life. Now, if you have enough money to take care of your basic needs, you can now spend your time doing things that you really want to do.
Yes.
And I like that idea and that concept.
And why I want us to emphasize that is because we have a number of people who have not yet arrived, they have not yet acquired, and yet they are taking the time not to work. So, in fact, some people finish work 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the day, and disregard the rest of the day. Because I had a gentleman who used to come and cut the yard and so on. At the time, he said he was looking for a job, and I gave him the job to cut the yard. I used to cut it myself, but I don't like handing people money. I prefer to pay you to do something that you don't owe me, I don't owe you.
Right.
And so I engaged him. And then he came to me and said that he wouldn't be able to cut the yard anymore. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, he got a job, and so therefore he had moved on. I was quite happy. And I said, well, okay, what kind of job do you have? And he told me what the job is. And this job, he finishes by 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I said, well, what do you do with the rest of the day? Because you could still continue to cut the yard because you have finished 8 o'clock. He said, no, because what they pay me, I would have worked for that for the entire day. What they are paying me for those hours, I would have worked for that the entire day. And he refused to take any other job. So I said, what do you do? He said, well, he just go and line with the fellas. There's a bridge that they go on and they play cards and so on, they lime and so on. And I said, that was such a sad thing. Because he could now become wealthy if he used that same job.
Exactly.
Get another job during the day and amass and work while he's young. So as he gets older, he can now sit back and enjoy wealth. So I'm happy that you have said so, because even though you would have had the income to give you the residual income that you require, you still continue to work.
Most definitely. And if you read the Robert Kiyosaki book, he retired, I think it was around 1996, 98. And he was earning $10,000 a month in residual income. But his expenses were about $6,000.
Right.
So he realized, listen, my expenses is $6,000. I am now earning consistently $10,000, so I could now retire.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about it is that he made more money in retirement than he did during his working years.
Yes, yes.
Because he was now free.
Yes.
To explore,
Yes.
to seek out things, to look for things, probably even read, even make contacts with other rich people.
Yes, yes.
When you are focused on earning a living, going to work 8 to 4, you are focused on that. You are focused on making somebody else rich.
Yes, 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 yes.
And at the expense of making yourself rich.
Yes.
So when he no longer had to go out and make somebody rich, he was now able to focus on making himself rich.
Yes, yes.
And as I said, he made more money in retirement
Yes.
than he made while he was working.
That reminds me of Jim Wan. Jim Wan also did the same thing, and now his investment would have given him his standard of living. But people wanted to hear his story so much that they paid him thousands of dollars. So he continued doing this thing, but he said, listen, in one day, sometimes he would see 2 sunsets. Because he would take the Concorde from one place to the next and so on. And he said, I mean, this is the phrase he used, this is the life. He said, I would do this thing for free. And they are paying me to do it.
I could really relate to that. And this is my point, in that once you free yourself from being able to take care of your regular expenses, you could now follow your heart, follow your dreams.
Yes, yes.
And the truth is, that is where you will be most productive, because those are the areas where your gifting lies.
Do it with a passion and
exactly.
This is what you do.
Because, for instance, there are some people who, for instance, like might be painters, and people tell them, well, you cannot earn a living from painting.
Yeah.
So you gotta go and get a regular 8 to 4 job, and then. But I know there is within Tobago here. There's an artist. But I know who would sell a painting for $70,000,
yes.
$50,000,
yes,
$100,000. So you can make money in art. But of course you have to dedicate yourself, you have to improve your skills, there's a lot that goes into it. Although you may have raw talent, but you need the time. So when you free yourself from having to provide for your basic needs, as I said, it gives you the opportunity now to let your imagination and your passion and everything blossom.
And I just want to share with the viewers Napoleon Hill's quotation as to how money follows you. And he said in his book, Think and Grow Rich, that money is going to follow you in direct proportion to 3 things. Number 1, the demand for what you do. 2, your ability to do it. And 3, the difficulty to replace you. Trust me, read that book, Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill. It will change your life. So what are some of those things that you set, some dreams that you set that you would have accomplished coming through because you are a goal setter, that you would have accomplished in coming through and so on in your life?
One of the, as I had mentioned in the previous program, one of the things that I being poor, one of the things that I wanted was to live in a nice home.
Yes.
And to date I have achieved that. I have my own home, the wife and I, we are comfortable.
Nice, comfortable home.
And we good.
And some people think nice, comfortable mean this big mansion that sits on 5,000 square feet. The house alone sits on 10,000 square feet and so on, and has 9 rooms and so many. There was one house that I saw. It had 9 rooms and 9 toilets and baths.
Now, I will never own a house like that, to be quite honest with you.
That's right.
The wife and I, we have one daughter and she's married and she's gone. So just the wife and I. So the house we own right now, if the wife said, I could hear her.
Yes.
If she say, Alan, I say, what you want, babes? Now, if we have a large house, something could be happening to her somewhere, and I may not know until hours after.
And that's why I wanted us to define nice and comfortable. Because nice and comfortable is what is appropriate for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And I'm reading now where people would downsize. Because having a large home, a lot of times you have to spend a lot of money in maintenance, and you got to maintain your home to have it looking nice.
Yes.
And to me, it's not a necessary expense where I sit. So the home that I have, it's quite comfortable for us, for just the two of us. Of course it's a lot bigger than the one I grew up in.
Right.
So I am happy where I am. The honest truth, I would like to have a little more land to plant a little, to be quite honest with you. But barring that little extra, and I am happy. The other thing that I always wanted was having my own vehicle. Because as a youth growing up, we had to take public transport.
Yeah.
And it was very, very frustrating. Very frustrating. I remember waiting for transportation at one time, maybe an hour and a half, rain had fallen, and you're just waiting. So that was one of my goals, to always have. And as of age 22, I've always owned a vehicle.
Right. Yeah.
And for the last 16 years, I've always owned brand new vehicles.
Okay.
Right. So vehicle-wise, I'm good.
And again, this is something that suits for what you want.
Yes, it's not a Mercedes Benz. That's never been.
Yeah.
But I am comfortable with what I have. It takes me where I want to go, and I am happy.
Because that is what also puts people back into poverty.
Exactly.
Where they think that I've got to own the most expensive thing so that people could see that I earn.
Did you not post something on Facebook that said you got to live within your wage?
Yes. That's right.
Some people want to look rich.
Yes.
And they cannot afford it when we need to live within our wage or within our income.
That's right. That's right.
And the other thing is that I always wanted to be financially free in my later years.
Right.
I never wanted to be a burden on my kids. Because a lot of people would say, my children is my investment. They would look after me in my old age. But I never wanted that, because, as I said, I never wanted to be a burden. And thank God I have achieved that, where I can, as I said, afford my standard of living without help from anybody. I can do that. Another thing is that I wanted was to do the will of God. Work for
I suspect
God.
that is your most passionate drive.
Right now, that's where my life is, because all what I have, I give honor and glory to God. That He has brought me this far. He has blessed me with the things that I have wanted as a child. So for the rest of my life, I am focused more and more on doing God's will.
And you still have your health, your strength, and so
Most
on.
definitely.
So you're really giving God a substantial portion of who you are.
Yes, because one of my pet thing is that sayings that I say is that most people spend about 90% of their time working for the temporary things in life.
Yes.
The house, the car. And they would spend maybe less than 10%, 5% on the eternal things. And after we would have left all the car and the land and the house and the jewelry and everything, and we stand before our Maker, what it is are we going to show for the time that we spent on earth? As much as we need the house and the car and the food and the clothes, we have to strike a balance.
Yes.
So, by God's grace, I have my material needs covered, so to speak.
Right.
So
it is His power that gives you that strength.
Yes, because the Bible tells us He gives us power to get wealth.
That's right.
So I am now focused on really the eternal things in life at this stage, of my life, because God has been good to me.
Somebody says the things in life that you can count, don't count. Houses, money, and all of these things that we count. But the things in life that you cannot count.
Most definitely.
So you can't count salvation.
No.
You can't count blessing, even though you would want to try to count blessing, but you can't really count health, because health is a blessing.
Most
you
definitely.
Can't count it.
Most definitely.
And so we need to put more of our time in the things that we cannot count, because those are the things that count.
As I said, there has been an imbalance. When I even look back at my own life, there was always this focus on on the temporary things. You know, you get up in the morning, you work whole day, you know, it's always that focus.
Yes.
And as I said, when we leave this earth and we stand before God, it's not the land and the house and the jewelry, as I said, is what he's
that
looking.
We fight over and we break up families over and we steal and murder for and so on and that. And they are gone. And once you die, they're all gone. They can't take anything.
So there must be, granted, you cannot focus 100% on eternal things. Granted.
Yes.
But there must be a balance. There must be a balance. So that is where I am focusing right now, and I have made a switch. Because most of the things that I wanted as a child, I have achieved.
Right.
So in my life right now, I am setting new goals.
Right.
And even what we are doing here now is part of fulfilling that new goal in my life.
Right.
Which is basically sharing what God has done for me and how God has helped me improve my life and made my life better. And assisting people, sharing with folks what I have learned so that they too can improve their lives.
Right. So what we call that is what is referred to as a bucket list. A bucket list, you wanted to have your own transport, you want to have your own home, you want to be able to have a secure, stable family, you want to be able to line yourself up with God and so on. A bucket list. And everybody should have a bucket list.
Definitely.
And in my own life, I've had some bucket list. I wanted to be an independent person, go in and do what I love. I didn't want to work with an 8 to 4 and be the traditional person who just goes and look for a job, and whichever job accept my application I settle for. I wanted to do what I wanted, and that was my bucket list. My recent bucket list, well, I've always had it as a bucket list, but I've really now started doing that, is that I've always wanted to become a pilot.
Okay.
And so I've started that, and I'm just doing it just because
it is on the list.
I've always wanted
it. Right.
I feel that people must live their life in such a way that they can achieve and fulfill their dreams as much as possible, because what it creates a sense of happiness and contentment that a number of things that frustrate people, it wouldn't frustrate somebody who's achieving stuff, because they are busy going after goals and dreams and so on. So when you listen to the frustration of people and some of the call-in shows and some of the people who are really, you tell yourself probably these people don't have a goal that they're really achieving, because they have too much time to be complaining about all the things that are going wrong when there are things that could be going right. So I'm suggesting that people get themselves a bucket list and go after them. When people post on Facebook, I'm bored. You have to say, how is that possible? You see, it has to be somebody without a goal that does not have something to do. That could be bored. You could never be busy and bored.
I want to read something which I picked up. I first read it in one of Napoleon Hill's book.
Yes.
And it's by an unknown author. But Napoleon Hill was very impressed with it, and so am I. So I would like to read it. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I work for a menial's hire, only to learn dismayed that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid.
Right.
And therein is the same thing you're talking about. People ask for little.
Yes, and they get exactly
and
that.
They get exactly that. And this person is saying, it's only at the end of his life he realized that whatever he had asked for, he would have been able to get.
Yes.
So a lot of people are blaming others when the fault really lies within you.
That's right.
And one of the things that I want to stress here is this. My journey started as a child because I was dissatisfied with where I was. I was dissatisfied with my situation.
Right.
I looked at other people. I saw the good things in life they were enjoying. I didn't have it, and I wondered why. And I made up my mind that I wanted to have it as well.
Right.
Now, could you imagine somebody sitting on the side of the road? They have nothing, and they desire nothing.
Yes.
Then they will have nothing.
And that's why it is only when somebody becomes uncomfortable that they are now going to move to the next stage. As long as you are comfortable and you are within your comfort zone, then you are going to remain in that comfort zone. You know, I was talking to a couple, husband and wife, and they were going through some struggles and so on. And I was saying, let me tell you, the quality of relationship and marriage that you have, you designed it. Because life does not give you what you deserve. Because you deserve a happy marriage. It gives you what you expect. And so if you therefore expect better of yourself and better of the relationship, then you begin to design things and do things and have your actions to give you that expectation, not what you deserve.
Which comes to my next point. Because after I made that decision, whatever I did after that was with a view of realizing my goal.
That's right.
Now, in life, we have choices.
And you took responsibility to make that happen.
Yes. So in life, we have choices. So rather than go and play as a kid, I remember pulling a box car. That is a little box you'd make and you'd put some wheels. And I remember walking along the road collecting bottles.
Right.
Trying to generate funds.
Yes.
So even at an early age, and whatever I did in life was always, my actions inevitably pointed to my goal. So I didn't waste too much of time here, there. Even like being drunk. I think I became drunk once in my life. And after that, I didn't like how that felt because I was out of control.
Yes.
And I didn't like being out of control. So I always wanted to be in control of myself because I have a goal and I was always working towards that goal. I bought books, I read, I educated myself. I didn't have people around me who were able to help me. So I bought books and read of by the people who had succeeded where I wanted to go.
We all the time.
Okay.
But you know, it has been so great. And as we close in there, set your goals. Somebody said 96% of what we do it unconsciously. We never did do it willingly of our own volition. So therefore, we really do the majority of things without knowing why we're doing it. We never set a goal. And the minority is what we are consciously doing. Change that around. Thank you very much, Mr. Aland Salandi.
It's my pleasure.
Michael Stewart, and this is TLC. We'll see you next time.